There we go.
All right, there we go.
See, you guys get that done so quickly. It would have taken me half an hour.
It was lucky. It was lucky try.
All right, there we go. Perfect. Thank you, Jaleel.
All right, no problem, no problem. So as far as getting started and everything, did you guys want to just hop right in, or you guys want like some intro music, or?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the intro music.
Hey, what's up? This is Jules. On this edition of Entrepreneur Empire, we're talking about how to scale a moving business to $130,000 a year. Thanks for tuning in. Join us next time on Clubhouse. We're there every Tuesday from 8 to 9.
All right. So today's video, we'll be going over how to scale a moving business, or honestly any business in general. And am I supposed to keep playing it, or?
Yeah, at least until you explain the whole title.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I couldn't hear. I couldn't really hear myself talk. But all right. I'll keep playing that. All right. But essentially, I'll just be going over my process I did for my first 2 years in business. Pretty much, I guess what I did was I just learned over time, and I guess I just want to share that for everybody listening. Just to go through the process of what I had to learn versus what I already knew. I guess my profits versus losses. What you can expect in business in general, not even just the moving business, is kind of just a staple for all businesses, and how to overcome them, or how to find out how to overcome them, even if you are in the process of doing so.
Hey, Jaleel, if I remember correctly, didn't it kind of start with you locking yourself in your room during COVID, and you really crammed? You crammed for like weeks, right? Because you were,
Yeah.
you were locked in the house anyway. Not locked, but you were stuck in the house anyway. So, tell us a little bit about that. That's really interesting,
All right.
or
Awesome.
funny. I would say funny.
So what I have a habit of doing, and of course not everybody has to do the same exact thing, but what I have a habit of doing is I will just literally just stay laser focused on something until I feel confident and competent in it. So those two things are very key, because I feel as though the confidence will allow you to have conviction in it, and it'll keep the persistence going throughout the entire learning process. And then the competence is the part of you actually taking the time to learn, and actually put yourself in those situations in which you will have to learn, not just on theoretical ideation or just pondering. You'll actually take the initiative to learn things, and you'll retain the information a lot better. And that is primarily because when I realized, hey, this is something I truly want to do, this is something I want to be successful at. That's the mindset, that's the change, that's the shift that I went from just a normal, um, regular everyday person to a business owner or an entrepreneur, an investor, and that's pretty much it. But the first step was just to honestly just you know get it in my mind, say, hey, this is what I want to do, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. So that was the first step. The second step, of course, was to go out and get the knowledge. It was countless hours. I would be a combination of buying courses. I bought one course that was $300, and then another course. I think the other course was just a regular generalized business course for like 125. Um, Set out, and I had already had knowledge of how to create an LLC and everything. So after that, I just created the LLC, got the business accounts, applied for my DOT numbers. So pretty much the next step that could be fluid for all businesses would just be to get all of your business insurances, get all of your business licenses, get all of your all those certificates in order, and then that's when you can start proceeding to actually do the advertising, that's when you can start to do the hiring, that kind of stuff. After that, I want to say it was really really good. Well, really really good as far as looking forward, I guess, going. I had hired an admin that was in person, and then I had hired two employees. Well, they were all employees, but one, I guess, two workers, two movers. I found all of them through Indeed. We were It was me and the two movers on all the jobs for the first, I want to say, 3 or 4 months. After the third or fourth month, that's when we started scaling up the employees. Um, we were doing, jobs left and right, but the issue that I didn't realize then was, I wasn't really taking into account the scalability factor of profit. And I say that because I took a lot of jobs that were cheap, and I would honestly just charge customers for how much it cost me to move. That's kind of what I was doing for the first 3 or 4 months. Started to quickly realize that um, there was no way I could continue paying for ad revenue, um, and the insurances, and with moving companies, there's a lot of insurances. So I have them all written down here. It is 4 total insurances. So that's cargo insurance for like the customer's items, commercial business insurance or general liability, commercial auto insurance for when you're driving the trucks, and then you have workers' comp. Okay, so to put it into perspective, that is just insurance, is just to say, hey, I'm a legit mover. Okay, so workers' comp was $627 per month. That is because they have a bare minimum amount of coverage that they allot for employees, and because I only had at the time under 10 employees, it was just a static payment. For they did it based off a salary for their employees and everything. And I told them, hey, we're not really going to make that much money, all this kind of stuff. But they just had statutory minimums that they had in place um, for the movers. So pretty much different categories for workers comp insurance will make your policy more expensive or cheaper. So for the movers, the movers are going to have a high policy because workers comp, they can definitely get hurt a lot more. I believe that was the first or second um, highest category. I believe the other one was construction workers or people on roofs. So movers were very up there. So we were paying $624, $27 a month. Cargo insurance was a down payment of 700, and then every month after that was 120. That was for a biannual, so 6 months. Then we had, and I'm going through all of these insurances and everything to give you a perspective about how low I was really pricing these jobs, and the issue that was one of my biggest mistakes.
Well,
So
Jaleel, real
I
quick,
did.
how
Mhm.
did you know that you needed these, like the insurances you're talking about and all the? How did you know that this is what you needed and that's all that you needed?
Great question. So I did a lot of research. So I joined these Facebook groups. I took a course. I took one course on the moving and then one course on just general business entrepreneurship. The moving course told me these are the insurances I needed. I later confirmed that with a Facebook group, and then also when I went to apply for my mover's license or my USDOT number. So that was pretty much how I learned these are the insurances you have to get. The other is so all this stuff is in hindsight, of course, but had I known that these prices weren't nothing to play with, I definitely would have tried to get a little bit more profit in there earlier on. It just kind of I guess it just kind of just happened, and I just went along with it, just because I was inexperienced.
Was part of it
But
fear?
it's
Like you were afraid to charge more?
I believe I was doing it from the mindset of what I pay for this, what I pay this price for the
So you're thinking
service,
with your own
and I was
pockets.
like, no, I can't. Right. And I was thinking, of course, I won't be able to afford that. So I literally charged I would pay my employees $20 per hour, and I would charge my customers around $60 per hour. And that was for two movers. So, a net profit of $20, which isn't even the net profit because I would have to pay the movers commute time. So in the moving industry is very strange because we pay our employees commute time because moving jobs don't actually take that long of a time at their normal homes. So I actually paid my employees to drive there and to work and everything, and then at the end of the day, I would probably be sitting with $15 profit. um, yeah, yeah, it was hectic back then. It was very hectic.
But it
But
sounds like you had proof of concept though. Like, in other words, the business was bringing in revenue. You had customers.
right, so we were bringing in revenue. We were having customers, but we were literally breaking pretty much even or going slightly negative. And it would take cash infusions from my personal account to keep the business going. That was I want to say between month 3 and 4. That was when pretty much when I only had the one team of movers and my admin. My admin, I believe, I couldn't even afford her. I kind of had to just give her reasons to quit. I had to like give her reason to quit, I feel so bad thinking back, but I didn't have the confidence or the competency to try and actually fire her. So what I would do was I would just I guess I wasn't as patient as I needed to be. So whenever she couldn't do anything, I would just do it myself, and that was very frustrating. And thinking back, I feel horrible, but I had no actual knowledge of it and experience. So of course, I would just recommend anybody to get experience first, or learn about these things prior, so you don't uproot somebody's life like that, like I did. That was a big mistake that I did. That was very careless.
And this
But
was like your first time managing people too, right?
right, yep. So that was my first time managing people. I never had a managerial job. That was my first actual entrepreneur based activity that I took part in. And I fumbled a lot for the first 3 or 4 months. Those were really busy times, and I was doing all this working while I actually had a job. By the way, while I had a job, I was doing all this work, and I would just take off from work. I would, if we had a move or that they couldn't go and do, but most oftentimes they had a lot of jobs that they couldn't do. So I'll take off from work. Um, I would, work crazy on the weekends, and it will all just see nothing. But I gained a lot of experience. Um, Moving on from there, between like pretty much the half year mark to 1 year mark, that's when I kind of got a handle on it, and I literally started scaling my business from going, pretty much not making any money or being broke. For lack of better words, I went from going broke, and I was literally seeing profits of on a good month probably $2,000 to $3,000, and that was all from raising my prices and being more selective on the kind of jobs we took. And I say that because all customers are not good customers, and at first I would be heartbroken whenever I lost a customer because I would feel as though I had to serve everybody. But it wasn't until I started to realize certain jobs that were headaches versus certain jobs that were crazy profitable. So essentially, what I started to do was I literally I found out, hey, all these jobs that have to deal with people that don't want to leave deposits, or people that don't want to um, actually pay the price, or they ask for a lot of discounts up front. Those kind of jobs I don't want. And it was mainly because the jobs that people didn't want to put all this money or to pay our actual prices. Those were the jobs that were unsatisfactory. They got us bad reviews, things like that. And reviews are very important as well, of course, as everybody knows. But essentially, it took a lot of learning. But after that, we started profiting around $2,000 to $3,000 a month. And then pretty much after our 1 year mark, that was when we had 5 or 6 employees total. And 5 or 6 employees in the moving business is crazy good, because that's two teams that you can knock out 2 jobs a day. And that was back during the pandemic time, right in the middle of the pandemic and everything, and everybody was moving out. I actually counted in the month of February of 2021, we had 55 moves. So those were months we were doing around $4,000 to $5,000 profit a month. And it really peaked in the summer months. So, we, and it all stemmed from just getting a better grasp on it. In the summer months, we did more. That's when we started doing long distance moves. We did moves to North Carolina, South Carolina to Florida. We were just doing moves all over the place, and that was literally how we kind of scaled and we started growing. Um, and yeah, it was awesome. The issue that I found was the employees I had were great, but when the slow season came right after the summer, of course, was when things started to take go left and everything because these guys they wouldn't care about their job as much anymore. Hours slowed down, but the issue with the hours slowing down was my ad spend started getting really high. So while the ad spend is getting high for these jobs, I'm still paying all those insurances that I was paying to begin with, and actually more because I had parking for the trucks. I had maintenance. I had to replace the engine on one of my trucks. We had a rental, and my employees actually when we're going down to North Carolina, these guys they actually hit the top of it on one of those like the
Overpass.
overpasses. Yes, they hit the top of it on the
Oh,
overpass, and yeah, yeah, and that left me with a nice $2,700 bill to pay, and that was all out of profit. So $2,700 on profit right there. We couldn't use the truck for a little bit, so we were paying for this truck, paying for the parking, paying for the extra insurance we had because we were using two trucks at that time, and all this stuff, pretty much just on top of the other truck. Shortly after having to have its engine replaced, so pretty much going from two trucks to no trucks, paying all this insurance, dealing with my employees breaking things. Things just started getting out of whack when I really tried to just step away from the business, and honestly, I don't know if I regret it because it kind of showed me, hey, this is what's going to happen if you don't. I mean, if you do step away, but um, I guess I didn't want it to be 100% reliant on me all the time. So
Throughout all of this, you're working a day. You have a day job, right?
right, that's correct. So the crazy thing was I was employed honestly all the way up until February of this year. So and it's crazy. The time that I spent the most in the business was when I was over encumbered with an actual 9 to 5 job. Um, and it's weird how that worked out, but that's how it worked out. We did upwards of $130,000 in profit. Oh no, not in profit, in revenue. And profit wise, the profit margins they were good all the way up until the point of the drop off, in which we spent probably, I want to say, the latter part of 2021 literally paying for insurances, paying for parking and everything, and we're not using any trucks. We're not getting that many jobs. I kind of started to take a step back from the business and started to transition into another business that I currently have. And literally those 4 or 5 months, the fifth month being the first month that the truck got messed up, um, and forward, that's when my profit really just started to die off. Um, and it just kind of just rolled over into another business that I'm currently operating now. So,
So
um,
is this a business, a moving business? Is that something you suggest people do, or it just wasn't for you?
yes, I would suggest people to do it if you want to make more money actively. I think it's going to take. So it was pretty much stages. So my first stage was learning everything, hiring my first few employees, getting the hang of things, and then the second stage was scaling up, getting more employees, teaching people how to be team leaders and to manage the teams when I'm not there. And then the third stage was when we were going crazy, but I was literally working, 7 days a week. Well, I mean, it's still a 7 day week work week, but I was moving things 7 days a week. And I didn't want to go from a regular 9 to 5 to a job that was, very strenuous on my body, very time consuming, very capital intensive because if you go at least a week without any jobs or what have you, but you're still spending all that you spend all that ad budget, you're still spending all the insurance money, you're still spending all the parking, you're still spending the upkeep on the vehicles, and God forbid you actually have to rent a vehicle and you have to hold the vehicle for that span of time. It's very very capital intensive, and it gets that way very quick. So it's honestly just another job, just over broke. Job, just over broke. You're literally just waiting until a point that you don't get moves or jobs for a good 2 3 days, and then guys start acting out, or they don't have any money. It was just way too many things that could go wrong at any point in time, for me to feel secure in keeping it and keeping that business as operational as I used to.
Looking back, was there a way that you could have done it where you wouldn't have been on the moves, where you could have been, working on the business, not in it?
Yeah, so it was going all great and everything when it wasn't as big, when it was very busy. But when it wasn't as busy, that's when guys started not to care. We started getting bad reviews. You really had to babysit people. It's weird how it works out, right? But you had to babysit people when they're unhappy. And I realized that the morale of the crew, the morale of your employees, is very, very important, because those guys literally represent your business. So, but hindsight, thinking back, I couldn't get too mad at myself, because I don't know these guys. We only, I only met them at the beginning of the year, so it's not like I vetted them to see, hey, this is how these guys are going to react when things are good, versus how these guys are going to react when things are bad. You know what I mean? So I've had guys, curse me out and stuff, saying, I don't want to curse here, but oh, the pay isn't that good anymore. Why do I have to pay for something I broke? I don't really want to come to my job and have to pay for things. So pretty much, that's when I realized that, on top of all the other stuff that I was talking about, as far as why I wouldn't necessarily want to keep the moving business, you also have to think about the employees coming to work, and if they break something, like, who's responsible for that? Honestly, the business should be responsible for it. But when you consider that they can break a $500 TV, and that's on the low end. We've moved $2,000 TVs before, $3,000 TVs. We had a ultra thin OLED, I want to say like 90-inch TV that we moved, from a baby mansion. And they said, yeah, this TV is upwards of $3,000. So, but the job itself will only be 1,500 or 1,200. So
Yeah.
why would you expect your employees to pay that, or why would you expect your employees to take a hit when the job isn't as profitable as the items that you're moving? So that was another thing that I had to think about. But honestly speaking, it was just a big learning experience. It really steamrolled me into the next business. And um and honestly, thinking back, it taught me a lot of lessons. Taught me a lot of lessons.
So for
But
somebody that's interested in doing it, like, how can they do it? How do you advise that they do it without themselves being fully involved in it? Like, is that even possible to just have a crew of guys and they go out, they do the jobs, and you just sit back and do admin work?
yes, so here's the two caveats that I can pitch. Um, well, three. So the first caveat would be, if you don't mind being out there on every single job, because if, as the business owner, me being out there, I literally made sure that everything was great. So that's why, and I realized, remember when I said the first 3 months I was out there on every job with my first two crews, my first crew, and then pretty much I was out there for a long time for the second time, for the second crew as well. When you're out there and you're giving them great customer service and everything, that's gonna steam, because you get recurrent customers and you get people that recommend referrals. So that was great, and I realized that's why we blew up all after that afterwards, was because of me being out there. If you can find, so the caveat being is, if you can find somebody that has um skin in the game, or they are dependent on the success of the job being done, then that is a great way to get that business started. Because if you can find somebody that you can trust, who's going to be there on time, who's going to make sure things don't get messed up, who's going to make sure that the customer is satisfied. Because I will have jobs in which the customer is pissed off, and the guys are like, not much I can really say, not much I can do. I'm just here to talk. I'm just here to get my money so I can go. You know what I mean? So But when I was out there, it wasn't like that. So that's the first caveat. If you can find people that actually genuinely care about your business and doing a good job, that's the first way to get started. Um, I thought that was how it was, but it was literally only until I was off of the cruise that I saw that these guys really don't care. That's the
Jaleel,
first caveat. Hmm.
what about did would like a manager work in this where it takes it off of you? Now you have to pay that person, but you've got somebody who's managing at least the starting point of like these moves, and then managing when they get back, making sure everything went okay, things get reported to him, this and that. Like, is that something that would work?
Yeah, so I had two managers at one time, and that was pretty much at the peak and everything. Um, I want to say, here's my thing, and it might honestly be something that's just in my head, but I believe the managers didn't take me as serious because I was younger than them.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, I'm a grown man. Why am I listening to somebody younger than me? You know what I mean? That might have been why, because I would have to get on a grown man about, are you going to show up at work on time? Are you going to be there with your pants on your behind and you're not sagging your pants? Are you not going to smell like weed when you arrive? Are
Wow.
you are you
Well,
you
wait.
know
What qualified them as managers? Is that just like a title you gave them, or did they have some experience as like moving managers or whatever?
Right. So that's another thing. They didn't have any experience with movement managers. They didn't have. I don't think they even had managerial experience. But them being out there with me, they knew how the jobs was supposed to be done. They knew the logistics of a move. They knew these things in and out. Because like I said, I was out there literally teaching them, going over things. We would have meetings at times or training company trainings in which I would go over additional stuff and they were they were highly competent in moving. Some of them guys moved better than I was, and I'm the owner of the company. You know what I mean? But I guess it was just over time. Because when I was out there, I didn't have to chastise them. But when I'm not there and something goes wrong, I will have to bring it up, and that's an uncomfortable conversation to have to go through. And they didn't want to hear that. They don't want to hear from somebody younger than them, like, oh, you messed up today. They kind of just wanted to be still hunky dory and everything, but they might have lost me money, and I have to reinforce the company's culture. Um, and thinking back, like that might have rubbed people the wrong way. It definitely might have.
I can see how company culture. First of all, company culture is already key. Like when for any entrepreneur that has staff, culture is like
Right.
already key. But I can 100% see how that's vital, even more vital for a moving company. Because like let's say it was a coffee shop. A coffee shop, they're not. They're just all they're doing. Your staff is for the most part making people coffee, handing it to them, and end of story. A moving business, you're literally handling people's personal belongings, right? Some of
Yep.
which might be super high value. So you would almost need staff that cares as much about these belongings as the owner does, right? Like not you, the owner. I mean, like the owner of the belongings. So culture would be. I can see how culture would be super key. But because here's my thing, right? Like so to be transparent, obviously you know about my business as far as storage auctions and all of that stuff. I feel
Hmm.
like a moving business would complement that um, very well. So like I'm very interested in start basically starting or I guess starting a moving business, but more
Hmm.
so just to support my current side hustle versus just to have a moving business. So I'm trying to
Right.
see if there's a way. What I'm super interested in is there a way to do it where I'm not the one out there doing the moves?
Mm. Yeah, like I
Because
said,
that's a deal breaker for me. I wouldn't want to be out there doing the moves.
yeah. And honestly speaking, it's if you don't want to be out there, I wouldn't. I and I'm very optimistic, and I'm always thinking of possibilities and everything. Me being in it, I realistically cannot say you would not be out there. When it's initially you, you're gonna have to be out there. Yeah.
If it's just
Unfortunately.
if the business was
Yeah.
just me, but I mean, like if I scale up from the beginning, like if by scale up I mean if I have a team of 3 guys, right,
Right.
and one of them is the supervisor, like put it this way,
Right.
there's
Right.
other moving companies out there. To Anne Marie's question, to Anne Marie's
Yeah.
point, there's other moving businesses out there. If I was to
Hmm.
just grab, like, basically poach one of their managers and say, hey, I'll pay you, 10% more than you're getting right now. Why wouldn't he come? Why wouldn't he come over? And why wouldn't that work for him? Why wouldn't that work as him being now, basically in the same role, but for my company, and then just have two other guys with him?
No, so it definitely could. It could work. If and I'm not saying it's impossible for you not to go out there. I'm saying it could work. It pretty much only is going to work if they care and they're going to make sure that your best interest. And honestly, what I realized was is that as long as you align their interest with yours, it works out. But if they see, oh, this guy's, the business is getting $300 from this, and I'm only getting $60, for my 3 hours that I've been here. They're For whatever reason, that's how they are.
Yeah, there has to be incentive also. They could be
Right.
aligned with what you do, and they could like you a lot as their boss, but if there's not incentive, eventually it's going to get old and they're going to lose their drive, to do
Mhm.
good.
Right. That's what the paychecks are for. Right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jules, can I put it into perspective
Thank
for
you.
you? So my manager, my lead manager, like one of my best movers, the guy who was there, he was my second hire. Um, he was there. He's seen the business go from zero to hero. Um, he was getting paid at the beginning $20 per hour. Next, he was getting paid $25 per hour. Um, and then pretty much when I told him, hey, yeah, you're qualified to be a driver as well. You know, this is going to be a lot more hours for you. You'll save on gas. Because you don't have to drive your own car. You can drive the company truck. He was upset at the fact that I didn't pay him additional. So I'm guessing he wanted like $30 per hour.
Wow.
But and he knows the logistics of the job. He knows the logistics of the company not being crazy profitable as far as just smaller jobs. Obviously smaller jobs aren't going to pay as much as the bigger jobs. So it was like it was more of they don't necessarily care about anything else outside of the amount that they're receiving.
But
Mm.
again,
That's that.
it sounds like you hired guys like the manager that you said you hired. He didn't have any management experience, and he didn't have any moving experience. I'm talking
And he
about if
was
we go
Okay.
older, right?
and he was
He was
and he
older.
was older. I'm talking about if we go get a guy that literally he has experience in it. He's been moving for you know I don't know, two guys in a truck for 5 years, and he's stuck at he's just in some supervisor position, hasn't gotten a raise in a while. To me, in my mind, I don't see why I wouldn't be able to poach that guy as long as I'm paying him a little bit more for what he's been
Mm.
doing for the last 5 years, anyways.
Right, right. Yeah, I agree. If you're able to get somebody that, and here's the thing, you because trust me, don't think that when I hired him, he was this nonchalant, non-caring guy. It was when I wasn't there that's when it started to grow, and I think that you just have to just vet them out a little better than I did in regards to this is how they're gonna react when I'm not there. This is how to react when I guess keep it consistent. You know what I mean?
So I guess
Um,
no, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a matter of vetting. I think because that's part of what hiring somebody that has experience. Part of
mhm.
that isn't just when people talk about, oh, okay, this such and such has experience. It's not just about that. They know how to do the job more than a person that doesn't have experience. Part of
Right.
experience is the fact that this is something they've done consistently. So if they've done it consistently, I have less reason to believe. I have more reason to have to believe that I can leave him to it, right? Like if this is your
Mhm.
career, if this is what you've done for the last 5 years, so to speak, why would some two guys in a truck has been paying him for the last 5 years to do it.
Right.
If he's been there for 5 years and he's been supervising there for X amount of time, that leads me to believe that he might actually know what he's doing and have at least some sort of work ethic, like
Right, right. Yeah, and I agree. Definitely. So if you're able to find somebody who's, one has the experience and two is a genuine good person, then definitely, yeah, that's the caveat I said. You're gonna be able to scale it and everything.
smart
The
hiring is
issue,
key.
right? Yeah, and the issue is in the event that you get that call. I actually just received we still do small moves now. On what's today? Tuesday. On Sunday, 5 a.m., the day of the move, I received a nice little text saying, "Hey, I won't be able to make it. My babysitter said she can't babysit." But
Oh
it's
no,
five
don't do
a.m. It's like
that.
yeah,
Don't do that.
Wow. Yeah.
it's 5 a.m. How is she gonna say she can't babysit at 5 a.m.? She's not gonna do that. So obviously it was a lie. But mind you, this guy was one of my best guys. He's very punctual, has his own tools, very respectful. You know, but it's because moving isn't the desired job path of anybody. When you're out there, But and I don't. I'm not here to talk down on moving. I'm just telling you the facts, okay?
Yeah, well, you're
or
supposed to be doing the
or
Yeah.
opposite. You're supposed to be telling us how to scale it.
yeah. Oh no, no, yeah. So the caveat is to find somebody great. Find a good employee and have them in charge of the day to day. And then the other thing that I realized would be to out the gate have your pricing set appropriately to the actual jobs themselves. So I was under, and the reason why I realized we had 55 moves in 1 month on with a 6-man crew was because we were drastically undercharging our customers. So that's the second caveat. First one, first one being great employees. Second one, charging accordingly from the get go. And then the last one is to have a proper contingency plan. If two things, if something breaks, and if you do not have a truck for that day, those are the three things that if I had did well, and I guess if I still wanted to do, those are the three things that would definitely scale a moving business to the moon.
Julia, I got an idea. You tell me. I need you to be the devil's advocate and poke holes into it.
Hmm.
You ready?
I'm listening.
All right. This is what I want to do. I want to put an ad on Craigslist consistently, like every day or whatever. I want first off,
Hmm.
first off, I want to build a website, right, for a moving
Hmm.
business, right? Make
Hmm.
it look super legit. Tons of experience. Whatever. Not gonna lie, but just a website that says, "Hey, this is actual business," right, with the actual location. I'll even use my warehouse as the address. All of that. Then put some ads in Craigslist um, for basically for lead generation, right? And then
Right.
when the
Hmm.
calls come in, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to give them, basically, I'm going to price jobs at an exorbitant, like twice as much as I typically think, like twice the cost or whatever, however you want to put it, right? Basically, I'm just going to price super high. I'm curious how many of those, because obviously I'm not going to fulfill any of them. I'm not going to leave anybody hanging, but if I get to the point where the person accepts, that's a sign, right? I'm
Right.
curious if that's something I can do, and basically how many deals would I close just off of those two things, just off of a website and ads on Craigslist, and then when they call, giving them like a super high estimate.
Right. So you would definitely be able to close, at least I'm gonna say a good 40%. Um, the issue next would be of course personnel, or honestly, because it's not like it's not enough money. It's just the things that happen after you get the money or the things that happen in the process of getting the money, and the things that happen after you get the money that really beat me up. That's pretty much what it is.
Okay, so that's key. All right, so see, okay, that opens. So it sounds like the market in itself for move everybody, everybody's always going to need a mover. The market
Hmm.
itself is hot. The price points, even that like isn't a big deterrent. I can charge a premium. It sounds like what you're saying is just the fulfillment, basically staffing and like your little things that eat into your expenses or
Hmm.
expenses that eat into your profits. That's what you got to look out for.
Right,
So
and I say that because,
sounds like profit margins is the key here.
yeah, and believe it or not, we were doing those 20. We did a 20K, 30K month. We had 3 months, I believe, in which we were over $15,000, and we were doing those months. I didn't have any PPC. I didn't have any SEO. I was doing it off of referrals. Remember when I said I was out there all the time? I was doing it off of referrals, and I was also doing it off of Craigslist. Those are my only two marketing
Right,
measures.
right. So then let's talk about like we got about 15 minutes left. Let's talk about staffing then. Like how were you I guess you might have touched on it briefly, but how were you staffing your business at the time? And how would you suggest somebody staff it the right way? What's the right way to do that?
Ooh, so that's a great question. I want to answer that. So I was staffing literally only through Indeed. Um, and then I want to say two or three of my guys were referrals from their friends. So it was Indeed and referrals from their friends to come and work for the company as well.
Why Indeed? Why only Indeed?
I liked Indeed because I don't like how ZipRecruiter they charged. You know, they had it monthly. So ZipRecruiter had it monthly. You know, and I would have to just pay a flat rate for the whole month. And you know, if I didn't get a qualified employee or whatever, I would just what would I do? I would have to either contact them for a refund, or hopefully they'll give me my money back, or try to give me some free credit, something like that. But with Indeed, I liked Indeed because it was I was in control. I could stop the ad once I got this amount of people. I could boost my ad budget. I could pretty much those that's the main factor was the control.
So okay, here's was one thing that just occurred to me. You remember a week or two ago, yeah, probably 2 weeks ago, I showed you that one company out here that what they do is they basically find you the movers, or basically if you need some labor, you
Hmm.
basically reach out to them and they'll provide you the labor.
Right.
So I ended up hiring the one guy for the 8 hours,
Hmm.
paid the company a little bit, and then paid the guy cash at the end of that day.
Hmm.
That business model, is that a business model that's close enough to, like, I'm trying to think how, okay, if I were to start from scratch, I almost would move more towards that business model than anything. What I would do,
Hmm.
and again, poke holes in it if I'm wrong, I would basically, because the way he explained it to me, he was one of many people that they had pretty much on dial, on call, that at
Right.
any given time, like even that day that he was working with me, he got a text from them for another job later on that day asking if he wanted to do it or not, right? So
Oh wow.
if,
Hmm.
if you have enough of those people, basically, if you have a whole I was going to use the word clubhouse, but in baseball, what do you call it when you have everybody in your
Dugout.
bullpen? A bullpen. If
Oh,
you had a
bullpen.
whole
Okay.
bullpen, a whole roster of
Hmm.
people that may or may not be available on any given day for any given move, at
Hmm.
that point, it's just a matter of wouldn't it just be a matter of lead generation? You're basically at that point just picking the jobs you want to do, and then from there picking the people you want to do the job.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. But of course, the caveat with that would still be fulfillment. So, are those guys that you're contracting out to, are they going to take care of the customer, or are they going to have your company have a bad review? Are they going to break something and still want payment, and the customer's unsatisfied, they don't want to pay, things like that. And trust me, I've actually had a contracted job that I sent out. The guy that I sent it out to didn't really want to have to go through all the hoops that he would have to do because it wasn't his customer. And then but it wasn't necessarily his fault either. But of course, all he would have to do was go and get some screws to put somebody's bid together. And he didn't want to do that. So guess what I had to do? I had to get blackmailed by the customer for $400 because he wanted to pay somebody, quote unquote, $400 to come and put all the bids together because we were too busy. So it's that caveat as well. But definitely, if you're able to find people honestly, it's only the people. If you're able to find people that's reliable, then yeah,
The issue that you just
definitely.
mentioned, that situation you just mentioned, sounds to me like it was one, vetting, two, scope of work. Right. So on the one end, it's like vetting, having staff, and I know this is never perfect. Remember, I had a towing company
Right.
for
Mhm.
almost a year and a half, and we were hauling people's cars. We were hauling everything
Right.
from Ferraris to Pintos. Right. So you talk about
Mhm.
taking care of people's belongings, like So I totally understand the idea of like managing people and having people that are super reliable. I was very lucky that I actually bought the business, and I bought it with at least two of the staff members came along with me. Like basically, when I bought the business, they continued with me.
Mhm.
And then we picked up a few here and there. So I say that to say staffing, like with all of this that you've said, it seems to me like staffing and vetting, having, and this is the case for any business, having good staff, right? Having good workers is key. And then a little bit of scope of work, right? People's expectations, like this guy with the screws, was that part in the scope of work that when you when you move the bed into whatever room that you also have to put it together? That's all kind of,
Yeah.
it was or it wasn't
Yes, it is essential that you put people
stuff together.
they
Yeah, that's
they
not
they
like
needed to
extra or
sleep that
nothing.
night. No, that's not extra. No.
Okay, so that guy, that team member knew that going in, and he just chose not to.
Yep, that's what it
Okay,
was.
yeah. So then it goes back to vetting. So, but even you could vet the who you think is the most perfect employee, and then one day they just don't feel like it. So there is that, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no
Hmm.
avoiding that. But I don't know, man. Just looking at it, I'm not like I like the way you framed this whole conversation today, because on one end, if it feels like Emery, correct me if I'm wrong, it felt like there were parts of it where he was actually trying to convince somebody not to go into the moving business, right?
Yeah, I think that you're kind of seeing how it's a business you might not want to stay with.
Right. It ain't for
Right.
And
everybody.
so you're letting people know how to scale it and do it. But for you, it just might be one that you were mentioning before how people in that area, you're having a hard time getting, you know, people that work well. And
Hmm.
maybe for that type of business, it's just going to be really hard. And that maybe, wears on you. And now you're ready to move in to another business, And what is the other business you've got going on right now, Jaleel?
Cleaning. So we actually clean people's homes.
Okay. And that stemmed off of the moving business, right? You got
Yep.
into that from the moving business. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, it's
So
a fair point. Service. They're both service businesses. You're not. You're still handling people's belongings, but if anything, you're in their houses and you're cleaning their houses or construction sites or whatever the case.
right, but the difference difference with that one is I don't have employees for that. I have contractors who maintain a good rating on Google, Yelp, or whatever. Like because they're if they don't do a good job or whatever, I'm going to sell them out. You know what I mean? They have something to be fearful of in the event that they don't do a good job.
Yeah.
So
And and is it that they're easily replaceable where your moving guys weren't?
um they're easily replaced. So I can find a cleaner, like it's nothing. But am I going to find a good cleaner? That's my new issue. It's not. Do I got paid for this crazy insurance? Do I have to worry about these guys not showing up? Do I have to worry about these guys breaking something? It's like, do I want a bad cleaner? I mean, do I want somebody who's who doesn't really do that good of a job, or do I just want somebody that can is awesome? That's my only dilemma now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But I say all that to say, I, I guess my lesson that I'm trying to get here is what I would do is I would try to get as much of this information prior to starting a business. I guess I would want to see somebody's like. Of course, people aren't going to want to just show you their financials, but I would want to see, what it really takes to run a business. That's that type of business. That's my only caveat. I mean, that's my only thing that I could really learn from that.
I'm
Did
still
you?
not clear though on what the difference is with the moving company employees and now the cleaning employees. I mean, they're contracted out. That's one big thing. But what is it? I'm still not really clear on why it was just such a big challenge to not be able to find quality people, quality guys for the moving.
The labor aspect. So when you're moving versus cleaning, you're not lifting 200-pound dressers over your head up a
Uh,
flight of stairs in $1 million house, or dealing with customers that just got evicted, or things like that. You know what I mean? You're dealing. It's a much lighter environment, and it's a much less labor intensive.
Hmm. Okay.
So yeah, those are the main differences that I really realized in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
And it
sense.
probably, go ahead, Jules.
No, go ahead, Amory.
It probably doesn't feel good when you've done a job, you're wanting your guys to do a really good job at it, and then maybe they break something, and then you've got the complaints coming in, and you want to be producing good workers, and
Mhm.
and and it was just like hitting a wall with that. So now with the
Yeah.
cleaning business, because it's a different structure and the work is so different, um, you can have a lot of satisfied customers afterwards. It's just weeding out the workers who say that they're really good and really don't pay attention to detail or clean that well, and that's easy. You can do that with, and maybe you'll even go out and like oversee them a couple times to like see their work as they're doing it. Because that's a lot
Yeah.
easier to see the result, even actually while they're in it. They clean one room and move on to the next room. You go in that room and you can see, is it really clean? Is it as
Hmm.
clean like you would want it to be? So then you can get on top of it quicker if they're not doing a good job.
Right. Yeah. And honestly speaking, I would not have to really go out on those cleaning jobs if I didn't want to.
Yeah.
It was certain jobs in which my contractor wouldn't be able to make it, so I would have to go and do it and everything. But if I really didn't want to, I could just cancel or just let the customer know we have to reschedule, and they would be understanding of it. So it's better, but it's not as profitable in regards to like the actual ticket amount. But it's more profitable because it doesn't require as much of my time. So that's the dichotomy of it. But I mean, with that being said, we're getting close to the end. Any final questions for me you guys have, or anything I missed?
No, I don't have anything.
I'm trying. Listen,
All right, all
I'm
right.
trying to think because I know. Listen, I'll give you an example of why I was super excited for this room today for this topic because with these auctions, the storage auctions I'm doing, I end up with a lot of furniture. There's one piece of furniture in particular, for example, right now I got that is I listed it on Facebook Marketplace recently. It's been generating all kinds of interest. It's a 6 foot nine um, 9 drawer dresser. It's a mid-century dresser made
Mhm.
of walnut. People are going crazy over this thing. I never knew like furniture was such a was such a thing. Maybe it's a particular type of person. It's mostly women, but yeah, people are going crazy for this thing. But the biggest issue is scheduling the pickup or people being able to. They're asking, do you deliver, et cetera, et cetera. So
Right.
it and it had kind of occurred to me before, but now even more so than ever. Now that I have, that's not the only piece of furniture I got. Um, so it made me wonder: is there an aspect of this where I could, offer delivery? In the course of us talking, though, I just realized I wouldn't necessarily have to have a moving business for that. I could probably just offer delivery one day a week. Like, hey, yeah, we
Right.
buy it, and then there's one particular day a week that we deliver,
And
Hmm.
or
is
2 days
that
a
going to
week that we
be
deliver.
very profitable? Like, because if you just, I guess that's, you have to weigh that out. Because if you put in your advertisement right away that these items, must be picked up by them, and they know that, then they might not be asking if you deliver. Whereas if they're asking, then you are almost feeling like, hey, maybe I need to offer this service, but is it going to really be profitable enough?
I could see how it would be profitable because in every instance where I've told the person, yeah, we deliver, but you'd have to pay full price. Because what's happening is people they'll haggle, right? Like I put this piece of furniture up for $400. It's actually like a $1,900 dresser
Mhm.
for how much it's sold elsewhere.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah. So with that being said, $400 is like they're getting it dumb cheap. So the people that have asked, hey, would you deliver it? I told them, okay, yeah, I'll deliver it, but you do have to pay full price for it. They'd be like, yeah, okay. And then I started saying, okay,
Nice.
well, it's we deliver, but then we charge you, $80. Yeah, okay. So it almost seems to me if I just did it one day a week, that $80 fee would cover a whole guy's
Yeah.
salary. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially if I just load one truck up, I go to U-Haul, rent a truck, and then just do all the deliveries all within that same day. Just pack in as much stuff as we can and just do the route. It's almost like a paper route. You just go deliver everything you got to deliver and then return the truck. So the expenses then would just be the truck for the day, the mileage, and the labor, and you would price that into the delivery fee.
Actually, and let me sweeten that for you. So to actually get a lower rate on U-Haul, you can get a U-Haul corporate account. It just it just can't be a moving business. So it has to be something other than like transportation, like I guess frequent transportation of things.
Oh, major key.
Yeah,
You just dropped the
yeah,
ball. I didn't even know there was such a
uh,
thing. A corporate
yeah,
account.
yeah, and their rates are really good. Over anything over 40 miles. So that's the math that it would be cheaper just to get a regular account if it's under 40 miles. But if it's over 40 miles, you start saving a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
And if
Well,
you're
that'll
doing it
do it.
all in one day, you'd be over that.
yeah,
Oh, absolutely. Just that move that I did with that guy that I hired that day. I want to say they told us they billed us for 100 miles
yep, yeah. You
over the
you only
course of.
paid 59 cents per mile with that instead of like the normal 119 or 129.
Oh, dude. Oh my God.
Yep. Yep. Nice little nugget in there for you guys
Yeah, nice
towards the
little
end. So.
nugget in the 11th hour at the very last minute. You dropped that major nugget.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it. That's what's up.
yeah,
I got to look into that.
yeah, definitely. Let me know if you want me to send anything over in regards to that.
Yeah, no,
I
please
have
do.
one for
Drop me
mine.
a Slack for me.
All right, I got you. I got you.
Yo, do me a favor. Make me an admin real quick, if you can, so I can give you guys some outro.
All right,
It'll let me. I'm not sure why it's not.
it is done. But with that being said, we're gonna
Sorry.
start wrapping it up for you guys this week. I know I was very pessimistic majority of it, but I promise when I can talk about my cleaning business, it will be very optimistic. So, and I don't like to sugarcoat things. I don't want people going in thinking that it'll be something that it's not. So, with that being said, Jaleel, welcome, signing out.
Where can they find? Hey, where can they find you? Where can they find you? Where can they find Anne-Marie?
I can't hear you, Jules.
I was saying, where can they find you guys? Where can they find Anne-Marie Iorio?
They can find me on Facebook, Anne-Marie Iorio, and AI Real Estate Investings on
What
Facebook.
about you, Jaleel?
Yep, they can find me everywhere at Wealthbeam.
Wealth Beamed.
Yep, that's
And you,
me.
Jules?
They can't find me anywhere. Find me on Clubhouse. Yeah, you can find me on Clubhouse. You can find me on Twitter. Hustle all day.
All right.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yo, it was a dope room. I love it, Jaleel. Appreciate you.
All right, no problem, guys. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good night.
You guys too.